Quote of the day. Friendship is the garden where laughter grows, trust blooms, and time only makes the roots stronger. Therefore, encourage one another and build one another up, just as you are doing. First Thessalonians chapter 5 verse 11. That is the quote of the day. Now let's get right into this video. Now NXT Heatwave was just banger after banger after banger. Oh my god, this was so entertaining. Dude, brother, buddy, this was so entertaining. I'm telling you, from start to finish, not a match was a bust, you know? Like, every match was, like I said, banger after banger, man. Every match was good. It wasn't one of those PLEs where, like, one match is good and the other's mid, the other's average. No, it was, like, straight heat after heat, you know? Dude, these matches were so fun to watch, so entertaining. And, like, everything was on point. The in-ring action, you know, like, the spots, the sequences. This was so fun. So fun. And each match had its own flair and it had its own reason for being entertaining and fun. And I love that so much. But anyhow, though, let me not hold you up for too long. Let's just get right into this review. So the first match we got on NXT Heatwave, it was Vice City, Lola Vice, versus Miss Parker, Jada Parker versus Kalani Jordan. And this was a triple threat #1 contenders match. And once again, it was Lola Vice versus Jada Parker versus Kalani Jordan. Triple threat #1 contenders match. And let me just say, this match was something else. Oh, Lord. Anyhow, though, this match was so fun. This was very fun, you know, so entertaining. Like the sequences, the fast-paced action, dude, the reversals, the chemistry between these three women. Oh my god, everything was just on point. Like there was not a single step wasted, you know. The high-flying moves, the heavy-hitting moves, everybody did their own part and everybody had like their own, you know, unique flair, their own unique little sequences and, you know, high-flying moves, heavy-hitting moves, you know. Like everybody played their role and everybody played their part. This was so fun. Like these superstars showed up and absolutely showed out, you know. And for the first match of the card, this was a good opener, you know. This got everybody like, I want to say hyped up, you know. This was fun. Anyhow, though, this match was everything it needed to be. But at the very end of the match, Vice City, Lola Vice, she was able to pick up the win. And how she did this, she actually just hit a reversal and she rolled up Jada Parker for the win. Yeah, and that's how it happened, you know. Lola Vice just hit a reversal on Jada Parker and rolled her up for the win, and that was that. So Lola Vice, Vice City, she is now your #1 contender for the women's NXT championship. So that's pretty cool. That should be a pretty fun rivalry. Anyhow, after this, we got our second match of the night, and it was Hank and Tank versus two members of Dark State. And this was for the tag team championships. Now, this match, this was a hard-hitting match. You know, this was a hard-fought match for both teams. Neither one of these teams wanted to lose, you know. Neither one of those teams wanted to go out looking sorry. Like, they both had something to prove, and they proved it, okay? Both of these teams gave it their all. We had hard-hitting moves, high-flying moves, and everything in between. Anything you could think of, we saw in this match, you know? But anyhow, though, as always, Hank and Tank, that tag team was so entertaining, you know, like they have it. I'm telling you, as soon as they get to main roster, they're going to be an instant hit. Like, you know, the charisma, the energy, you know, they just connect with the crowd in a special way. Like I said, you know, as always, they were very entertaining in this match. But throughout this match, though, we got a lot of interference from the Dark State members, you know, the ones ringside, the other Dark State members. We got a lot of interference. And eventually, the numbers game ended up catching up to Hank and Tank, and they ended up losing the match and the tag team championships because of the numbers game, you know, because of the other Dark State members. So with that being said, we have new NXT Tag Team Champions, and Dark State is your new NXT Tag Team Champs, two members of it. The members that are champions, it's Osiris and the other guy. I don't really know their names individually, but I know there's the Osiris guy. Him and the other guy with like, you know, that low taper fade with that made fade, you know, that guy. Okay. I'm sorry, I don't know the names, you know, but like there's a lot of members. Anyhow, after this, we got another match. It was our third match of the night, and it was a triple threat match for the TNA Women's Knockout World Championship. And this match consisted of JC Jane versus Ash by Elegance. She's part of the Elegance brand group. So it was JC Jane versus Ash by Elegance versus Masha Slamovich. And let me just say, Masha Slamovich is so entertaining in the ring. She was pulling out moves I've never seen before, you know. She's so creative and innovative, and I love her, you know, her intensity. Like, she's just like lasered in and focused, and she's like, I know what I have to do, and I'm just gonna attack everyone and do what I have to do. I'm out here to win, and that's what I'm gonna do, you know. So it was just fun watching her in the ring, you know. She like, it's surprising watching her, you know, like no matter how you think she's going to move in the ring, she doesn't move like that. Like she's quicker than you think. She's stronger than you think. So it's like, it's so cool watching her, you know, operate in the ring. So anyhow, though, this was a fun match, and don't get me wrong, the other two women absolutely did their thing too. JC Jane and Ash, they did their thing too. But anyhow, though, we ended up getting a lot of interference from the other Fatal Influence members as well as the Elegance brand. Those people that were ringside, we got interference from them. And funny thing that happened, the Fatal Influence members actually got kicked out of the arena by the referee. They got kicked out of ringside, so that was pretty fun. But anyhow, after Fatal Influence got kicked out of ringside, at the very end of the match, we got one last interference, and it was from the Elegance brand. And, the Elegance brand got involved in the match while the referee wasn't looking, and this was the perfect opportunity Ash by Elegance needed to pick up the win, and she was able to pin Masha Slamovich and pick up the win. So Ash by Elegance is now your new TNA Knockout Women's Champion, and she's bringing the championship back to TNA where it rightfully belongs. That's where it's from, and that's where it belongs, and she's bringing it back home. So that's pretty cool. After this, we got our fourth match of the night. And tonight we got 6 matches, if you were wondering. This was our fourth match of the night. It was Blake Monroe versus JG, the Muscle Muffin, Jordani Grace, Jordan Grace. And the funniest thing happened, at the very beginning of the match, Blake Monroe absolutely slapped the makeup off the face of Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace ate that slap, and she was like, you know what? It's up and it's stuck. And it was just straight hands from there, dude. Straight hands. Jordani Grace absolutely whooped Blake Monroe, and she most definitely got her lick back. Don't trip, she got her lick back. Okay, she whooped Blake Monroe, and Blake Monroe actually got dominated and woman handled for most of this match. So that was pretty fun. But Blake Monroe did get some offense off. She mainly focused on targeting, Jordani Grace's body parts. Jordani Grace is a lot bigger, a lot stronger, so she was just targeting joints, targeting her foot, her arm, her back, stuff like that, and she was just strategically beating down Jordani Grace, which was pretty smart. But Blake Monroe ended up sending Jordani Grace face first into an exposed turnbuckle, and that's what caused her to get the upper hand, and that's what helped her pick up the win. And she ended up hitting her DDT finisher on Jordani Grace for the win. And Blake Monroe pins Jordani Grace. I'm not happy about it, but I'm not complaining either. I was rooting for Jordani Grace, but whatever. I know this rivalry is going to continue, and Jordan Grace is eventually going to get the upper hand, and she's eventually going to, beat Blake Monroe. So, I'm just waiting for that to happen. Anyhow, after this, we got our 5th match of the night, and it was Tavion Heights and Tyra May Steele versus All Ego, Ethan Page, and Chelsea Green. So this was basically USA versus Canada. So this match, it was really fun in its own right. This match, it wasn't serious as the other matches where they didn't take it serious, but the in-ring action was amazing. The chemistry was amazing, but it wasn't as serious as the other matches. It's kind of it was kind of on the goofy end, I want to say. It was goofy serious. It was goofy, but also serious, but not as serious as the serious matches. I don't even know how to explain it, but it was just goofy serious. But anyhow, though, as always, Tavion Heights' intensity and explosivity is unmatched, in this match, he was so explosive, and he was the aggression behind every move, and it was so fun to watch. And that went for Tyra Steele as well. Tyra May Steele, both Tavion Heights and Tyra May Steele, they were aggressive in this match. They were intense. They were explosive. It was just fun to watch, And like I said, this match was really entertaining. But in the very end, due to interference from the Secret Harvest, Chelsea Green was able to pin Tyra May Steele for the win, and Canada picks up the win over USA. Now, Tyra May Steele got pinned, but this didn't damage her by any means. She still looked amazing, and she still looks like a huge star, So this was a fun match, like I said, in its own right. It wasn't as serious as the other matches, but it was goofy serious, It was a serious match, but it was more so on the funny bit too, the funny side of everything. But yeah, this match was very entertaining. I like this. And both of these teams, they showed up, they did their thing. There was a fun chemistry between them, Chelsea Green is always funny and entertaining to watch. Same with Ethan Page and, Tavion Heights. It was just fun. I don't this is what I'm trying to, get across. It was just fun to watch, everybody has their own personality, and the personalities just mixed, the in-ring moves just mixed, the in-ring personas just mixed together, and it made this masterpiece. And this match, it was fun from start to finish too. But anyhow, after this match, we got a huge announcement from the GM Ava. So the NXT GM Ava announced that NXT is officially claiming and obtaining the men's and women's speed championships. So those championships will now be defended on NXT from now on. And I think this idea is pretty neat. It's pretty cool. They used to be defended on, I believe, Twitter, if I'm not wrong. But now, since that's over with, they're now moving to NXT, which is pretty cool. More championships, more opportunities for everyone. So that's nice. But after this, we got to our main event, our 6th and final match of the night. And it was the young OG, Javon Evans, versus the ruler, Oba Femi, for the NXT championship. And I was watching this match, and one thing just kept crossing my mind. I was like, man, I hope when Javon Evans gets to the main roster, he doesn't suffer the Dolph Ziggler effect, Because Javon Evans is too good at selling these moves, just like Dolph Ziggler was. And if you know what happened to Dolph Ziggler, he was just there to, boost up new talent, big men, the strong people, like just there to eat moves because he sold it really well. And this is the same thing I'm noticing with Javon Evans. Like, he sells the moves really good, too good, You can't be too good at selling because, like, WWE is going to use you to just boost up other stars, to make other stars look strong, to make other stars look amazing. And I'm like, I hope this doesn't happen to him when he gets the main roster, just like what happened to Dolph Ziggler. But anyhow, in this match, Obafemi absolutely punished Javon Evans. Like, this wasn't even fair at all. Obafemi tossed them around like a sack of potatoes, okay? Like, Javon Evans got some offense here and there, but it did nothing. Like, Obafemi fly swatted him away. He just ate the punches. He ate the cutters. He ate everything. And he just kept moving. I'm like, dude, that's scary, okay? Imagine you're in a fight with a big man and you throw everything that you have at him and they're just eating him. They're laughing in your face. I'm like, oh, God, I would have walked out of the arena, okay? I'm like, this isn't for me. I wasn't built for this, Oba. You got it, big man. Like, Jesus. But anyhow, near the end of the match, the referee ended up getting knocked out and knocked down. We got a second referee. And then this was our big false finish of the match, So Javon Evans ended up hitting a big cutter on Obafemi. He hit 3 cutters back to back, I believe, off the top rope, 3 cutters. And he pins Obafemi. And the new ref comes in and he counts 1, 2, 3. So Javon Evans officially wins. But, the referee that was knocked out, he all of a sudden, by the grace of God, he gets respawned, He gets revived and he's like, no, that was false. I saw it. Even though I was knocked out, I saw that Obafemi's legs were under the rope. This actually doesn't count. This was a false finish. Obafemi was cleared, his foot was under the rope, so it doesn't count. So that was funny. So yeah, that was our big false finish of the match. And after this, I wish this was where it ended, because after this happened, the match continued. And let me say, Javon Evans died again. Javon Evans died. Oh my God, this was criminal. What Obafemi did to this man was criminal. After that false finish happened, Obafemi lost it, and he picked up Javon Evans in the powerbomb position, and he sent them flying at the announcer's table, dude. Like, he literally powerbombed him from the ring. He's standing in the ring, and he picks up Javon Evans, and he powerbombs him through the announcer's table. Like, throws him. Oh my God. This man, Javon Evans, died twice in 1 week, basically. This was insane. Anyhow, after this, Obafemi rolls out to a ringside area. He picks up Javon Evans. He tosses him back in the ring, and he hits his finisher, the fall from grace, for the win, and he pins the young OG Javon Evans. So the ruler is still your NXT champion. So that's pretty cool. And it seems like the next rivalry is going to be Obafemi versus Ricky Saints. So I'm pretty excited for that. I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't think Ricky Saints is going to win, but if Ricky Saints does win, I think that's a clear indication that Obafemi is going to be moving up to the main roster. I hope that's what this means, because, Ricky Saints is a big star too, so he can carry it. I hope that's where they're going with it if Obafemi does lose it. But if he doesn't lose it, then that means Obafemi is staying at NXT for a little bit longer. But yeah. Anyhow, that was your whole show. That was your whole PLE. That was your whole premium live event. And overall, I would rate NXT Heatwave a solid 8 out of 10. This was pure entertainment from start to finish. The matches were so fun, and not a single match sucked, Everything was entertaining. Everything was fun in its own way. Everything was entertaining in its own way. I enjoyed this, dude. There's not a single match I can complain about. The finishes, the winners, dude, it was just fun to watch, It was one of those PLEs where you could just turn off your brain and enjoy what was happening, I really enjoyed this from start to finish. This was fun. This was a nice PLE. And like I said, I'd rate it a solid 8 out of 10. But anyhow, that was my review, and that was my breakdown of NXT Heatwave. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for hearing me out, and thank you for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to. And like, comment, and subscribe if you choose to. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'm out.